You know, sometimes I say to seekers that the continuous pursuit of the self will eventually result in a kind of clarity. That's what, enlightenment or realization is that clarity. And, like all descriptions of enlightenment, that description has its limitations. And I was thinking this morning, what would be a better description of it? Perhaps equally apt, or perhaps better, might be faith, that the mind develops true faith. Now, why faith over clarity? Well, because clarity suggests that the mind sees something clearly. It's a visual metaphor. Oh, I guess you could hear something clearly too. But the point is that it's something that the mind grasps in exactitude. That's what clarity seems to be. But the self cannot be grasped by the mind. And it's precisely in the mind ceasing to attempt to grasp it, allowing itself to go into a kind of trustfall. There's a kind of trustfall, just letting yourself fall back, right? Knowing that you're cupped in the palm of God. Not knowing that, believing that, having faith in that, having cultivated the habit of that. Is that the best wording? There's no best wording, of course. In the end, as soon as one attempts to look into this problem, like all the problems connected with the self, it's the mind attempting to make sense of it again. And immediately there's a paradox. Immediately there's a labyrinth when one attempts to translate all of this into verbal description and logical reasoning. All of these are stabs in the dark. All of these are gestures. At some level, there's a kind of discernment. Again, that's coming back to the kind of clarity idea. Discernment away of the wrong ideas, a discernment of that subtle, sacred space, which always is. But it's not a discernment, because again, that would suggest that the mind sees it, discerns it, and it doesn't. So, what is this clarity? What is this faith? It can't be said. Ramana Maharishi said something like, used this metaphor a couple times. The mind, it's like a cow that leaves the barn to try to graze outside, and in order to sort of lure it into the barn, you kind of put really delicious oats or something like that in the barn, right? And the cow starts eating those oats, and then it eventually learns that the oats are right there the whole time, right? It needn't go out and try to find stuff outside. And in the same way, the mind becomes accustomed to allowing itself to relax. That's one way of putting it. That's the faith way of putting it, or that's the peace way of putting it. And then again, from the so-called clarity standpoint or discernment standpoint, you could say that every time the mind asks a question about it, there is in that very question the echo of the question, the space that surrounds the question, is in a sense the answer. In a sense.